Sports stories from the 419 in Northwest Ohio, brought to you by a voice you know. It's time to go around the area and around the Hearn.
Welcome to a new edition of Around the Hearn here tonight as we're talking state semifinal football with two of the head coaches in Chip Otten from Coldwater and the head coach of the Columbus Grove Bulldogs in Andy Schafer. Those two guys getting ready for their matchups with Bluffton and Marion Local respectively. Excited to get to call that Coldwater and Bluffton game on a K94. Got many choices for a lot of these games. I hope that you check out the WCOQ radio feed of Columbus Grove as well. And I'm absolutely excited. Next week, the football season comes to an end, but basketball, if you can hear it in the background, is in high season, getting started actually right now, where I'm sitting and waiting for Ottawa Glandorf's boys to take on Van Buren. The first time I've been here, can't say nicer things about Van Buren. They have a beautiful complex here at VBHS, and OG, get ready to throw it down. Check out these interviews. Hit me up on Twitter, at Michael Hurd PvP. Let me know what you think. By now, everyone knows that Lee Kinsel on West Irvin Road in Van Wert is a huge fan of local sports. But did you know that they're also your biggest fan? Whether your playbook says you need a new ride or your current one needs to head to the bench for some award-winning service, you should stop out today at Lee Kinsel at 650 West Irvin Road in Van Wert and join their all-star team. Or if you're just browsing the web, be sure to head over to leekinsel.com and check out their newest selection of cars, trucks, and SUVs. If you're in the market to get into a new ride today, they've got you covered at Lee Kinsel, 650 West Irvin Road in Van Wert. Back looking at Coldwater football now, talking to the world's most interesting man in Chip Otten, and big week for you guys. State semifinals. Hopefully the weather's nice.
Well, that's not a likelihood, but it probably can't get too much worse than last week. Other than, I guess it's probably going to be a little colder, but hopefully not the same wind and mist, I guess.
But you said it last week. You get to practice on Turkey Day. Any day is a good day.
Yep, for sure. Whether we're outside in the stadium, or we might even have the gym reserved just in case it's terrible. Because at this point, our Thursday practice is more of a mental type thing anyway. And we want to stay healthy. We don't want anybody slipping around and getting hurt. So we'll kind of play it by ear, and we invite any former player who wants to come and hang out and watch practice and hang out with us. So our Thursdays are pretty casual. We play music, and it's the same routine, but so it's kind of fun. So hopefully some kids will show up from the past.
Last week I felt like it was a little bit of a St. Mary's game, and that I felt right at home with the fact that it was run. With that weather, a crazy game. I mean, Anna comes out, they have that 80-yard drive. But what was it about your kids? Because you score on every possession, but the one that you take a knee in that game of, it didn't seem like they ever broke even just a little bit. It was, all right, they got one. That's fine. We're okay.
Yeah, like I keep saying, our seniors are really mature kids, and I think, both of us played, had three previous games that were not against great teams. Gosh, we had everything we wanted. We got the kick with the wind, and we thought, let's get them stopped and make them punt into the wind. And sure enough, they go 80 yards, exactly what we didn't want to happen, and hogged up, almost half that first quarter. But like you said, our kids, just, all right, let's stay the course. And of course, then we had a nice drive, 6, 7, 8 plays. And then from there, I think the kids got back up to the speed of the offense, of their offense. And we made some mistakes gap wise on that first drive, and kind of got those ironed out, and played really well after that first drive.
You have 24 plays on your next 3 drives. You go 10, 6, and 8, 68 yards, 44 yards, 80 yards. What was it about being able to have Cody run the way that he did that kind of helped relieve that pressure from Balin to where in the second half he's able to check down to him in the passing game?
Yeah, it was, we felt like depending on how they would respond to our two tights and tight end wing with their secondary, whether the we just say wildcat when Cody's in the backfield, how they would respond to that and how we would do against it, whether we would keep doing it. And so it started working, and they didn't change too much about how they were trying to stop it. So we just kept, we just like you said, we kind of pulled a St. Mary's, just keep running similar plays, and we have this big long list of plays and used about 5 or 6 of them the whole game.
Every coach in the world would be in love with that. Braxton Taylor has that one big run. He got 56 of the 57 yards he needed. Whether the kid tripped him up or the turf monster got him, did he get a little bit of razzing for that?
Oh yeah, a little bit. We told Bay yesterday. Say, did you thank Braxton for getting you that touchdown? And that Bay, I think Bay told him, no, not really. I wanted him to score. But yeah, he's got a special gear that no one else on our team has running the ball. And obviously with Miles and Cody, we like to those guys do a great job back there. But Braxton is a really good. A great guy to have to give those 2 breaks, and of course he's got that burst, and I call it he picks it when he decides, he hits it. And for a young guy, a lot of times they do a little dancing and not sure, but when he hits it, he hits the gas and does a really good job.
You get a Bluffton offense this week that is about 2-1 in terms of passing to rushing. They've got 3 guys over 850 yards, and they can all move. They all have big first steps. I mean, did you see anything maybe with Zach Osborne and his first step last week that you can kind of compare or use for this week to shut them down?
Yeah, I think their 2 backs are, I guess, similar type guys, but Osborne is really good. So you try to figure out some tendencies and what they do and how they do it. And hopefully our guys are in tune, which they will be, because like I said, they're mature guys, and hopefully we can get them stopped. Now you add their quarterback's a good runner, so that complicates things, I guess, a bit.
Do they remind you of you guys at all? I mean, the way that they're able to have 2-3 guys kind of hit the holes in the back, and then their quarterback can do a little bit of everything.
Yeah, I guess that's a good call. We might be a little more. Again, I don't follow the other team's offense as close. I'm the offensive guy for us. But yeah, there's definitely some similarities when they have 3 or 4 guys that can do some different things, kind of like us with Mason and Braxton and Ethan and the 2 wideouts. I've made enough good plays, and then we got those 3-4 guys that can run. So in that sense, yeah, it's definitely similar.
What's it mean to the senior group when it's been a handful of years since you guys have been in this position? What's this run mean to them?
Yeah, it's I think they were freshmen in 21 when we lost in the finals. Would that be right? Yeah, 21, 22, 23. Yeah, they were freshmen when we lost to Cary in the finals, and it's such a good group to think that I guess they missed it a few years in a row. But they're focused, and we just saw the volleyball win it, so it gets you hyped up, and it's exciting. I guess every group when you get to this point is fired up, but this is a good special group.
Well, I hope that your run continues after this weekend, and I thank you so much for doing this.
All right. Well, I'm glad you're on our side, and so yeah, we're going to give it our best shot and go up to Walpock and see what we can do.
That's Chip Otten. More on the way. Coming up. Are you trying to find the region's greatest coffee? Well, search no further. Rubato Coffee Lab in Columbus Grove has got you covered. Whether you just need a morning pick-me-up or something to get you on the go, Rubato Coffee Lab has got what you need. And within 30 miles of Columbus Grove, delivery is free. Be sure to check out Rubato Coffee Lab at rubatocoffeelab.com. Be sure to use the exclusive code CGHOOPS to get 25% off your order of freshly roasted coffee at rubatocoffeelab.com. Rubato Coffee Lab, founded in 2019, a proud supporter of Columbus Grove Athletics. State semifinals coming up this weekend, and talking Columbus Grove football now with head coach Andy Schafer. And I guess congratulations for getting what you guys have been looking for all year.
Yeah, I appreciate it. This is kind of where we pictured ourselves at the beginning of the year. I know kind of everybody does a little bit, but when we've been here 3 straight years in a row, this was definitely something that we were going for.
Well, it's a really neat thing, too, because a lot of coaches, and specifically two of the coaches still on the other side of the brackets in D6 and D7, talk about how much that these Thanksgiving practices mean to their programs in terms of development and kind of camaraderie. How cool has that been for you guys, building that every year now the last handful of years?
It is, the traditional picture that I think Marion Local probably started it, I'll be honest with you. But, we've kind of done that every year as well. You talk about football kind of becoming a family, and when you spend 15 weeks together and then Thanksgiving together, you truly do feel like a family. So it's a pretty neat experience, and not something that we take for granted, and something that we look forward to every year.
You get to cut the turkey then at that point?
Well, we haven't actually got together to feed them. I think
you're probably smarter that way.
Did one year, but yeah. So, but we just short little practice and head on our way.
Yeah, I can't imagine just trying to feed your offensive and defensive lines. You'd probably go broke.
Yeah, we got some hungry kids, that's for sure.
Hey, you guys have had pretty much since you've taken over at Grove, you've had a lot of the same coaching staff, but bringing in Roney the last couple of years and it kind of injecting that with him at a higher level. I mean, what has a guy like that meant to your program?
Well, he's been with me in three different ways. Number one, my first year here as a head coach, he was a senior, but I could see something special in him just that year. I only knew him for 1 year at that time, and he just had a mind for the game, unlike most players, let alone linemen. He just understood stuff, especially offensively. I could just talk to him at a higher level than I could anybody else. And I remember talking to him at the end of the season. I'm like, "You seriously are going to go into coaching, aren't you?" And he's like, "Yeah, I was considering it." So it was pretty neat. And then as a young coach, while he was still in college, he was able to coach with me and kind of learn the ropes as far as that goes. And then I think the greatest thing that really happened was when he left for a little while. He went to Bass and he went to Adelphus Jefferson, and honestly, he got humbled a little bit. At the time that he started over there, they weren't the greatest. But Jefferson, he was able to take them while he and the staff was able to kind of build that thing up, and they got into the playoffs. And, I was recognizing how much, they didn't have the greatest players in the world, but man, they were scoring a lot of points. I remember they scored 50-some points and lost the game, which is insane. But I kept a close relationship with him, and then I had an opening, and he was my first call, and honestly, I didn't know if I was going to be able to continue to coach just because of life circumstances that I had, and I was an offensive coordinator, and I was like, here, I have a ability to bring somebody on that's probably better at me than me, calling plays, and will also be good for the program, and it was a great hire. I really appreciate having him on board, and I appreciate you letting me, talk about it a little bit.
Well, I can't let you talk about his Jefferson days nice. Being a Bearcat, I can't let that one go.
Yeah, I understand.
Bath is fine, but, all the other stuff. No, it is cool, though. That's got to take a lot, I would think, off of you as the CEO, the manager, of being able to just look at it and go, all right, I 100% trust you with our entire offense.
I remember the first thing I said to him when I hired him, I was like, hey, I'm going to give you the offense, but if it's in a tight situation, I'm going to take over. And then it's like, as soon as I said that, I was like, that is the absolute dumbest thing that I could say, because it just basically says, I like you, but I don't trust you. And, as I started to reflect on that, I said, no, you got the whole thing. I'm going to offer some suggestions at times, but hey, if you don't want it, don't take it. And so we have a great relationship the way things work. Most of the time he does take my ideas, but there's been times when he hasn't. But I think the biggest thing is it's freed me up to really spend time looking at our defense, looking at our special teams, looking at just how to build the culture, look at all kinds of different things that I never could do because I spent so much time just watching film and breaking down the opponent. And my role is completely different now than it was 3 years ago.
And you guys have had an obviously successful season with this big run. And last week I was doing a different podcast, and I remember texting you because I wanted to make sure to get the name of all of your offensive line kids. Just tell me a little bit about that group, because you have, pardon the pun, but some straight-up dogs that have provided massive holes that maybe even you or I could have gotten through?
Offensive line, I think in high school football is one of the hardest positions, not just to coach, but to be the coach of, because usually your offensive line are made up of seniors. Well, what does that mean? It means literally every year you've got a new group of people, 5 of them that you have to coach, and like everybody depends on you, but you don't get any credit. And that's just such a tough role. We lost 3 really good linemen from the previous year. And we're going into this thinking, how the heck are we going to replace those? We lost both the guards. Both of them played in the North-South game, Loudon Moody and Kyle Lathrop. And, and then we lost, 6'5", 300-pound Ethan Johnson. And we were sitting there thinking, what are we going to do? And we the offseason, you can get strong, but you can't really test how good your offensive line is until you get in pads. And, I was really pleasantly surprised to see the way that our guards especially stepped up. Brady Fierce, Leighton Blankmeyer, those 2 really, really stepped up. And then in comes a junior, Jacob Leininger, that was not on our radar at all, that really stepped in, not only earned a spot, but, nobody could take it away from him. He just kept getting better every single week.
And you guys had, I got to see you in week number 1, was massively impressed by those kids, but you had a little bit of a strife in that for, a month and a half, you didn't really know who was going to end up playing quarterback because you had all the injuries. You look at it now, though, how stressed out were you during that entire spot?
This might sound strange, but I wasn't at all. I know it doesn't sound like it would be, but we just have. I'll never forget. And Patrick Henry, when that unfortunate injury happened to Landon Best, it was about 3 plays before halftime, and as soon as it happened, we were like, at that point, it's like, let's get to halftime as quick as we can. So we did. I remember going into the locker room, and I remember we have this big board that has all Ohio players on it. And it just hit me, and I looked at our team, and the team looked like they were down in the dumps, including our staff. And I was like, guys, all these people that are great players for Columbus Grove are no longer playing. Every single year we graduate unbelievable players, and we still are the program. We're still fine. And I said, yeah, we didn't want to lose Landon Best. At that time I didn't know we were losing him for the season, but I was like, we didn't want to lose Landon Best tonight. But regardless, it doesn't matter. It's the next man up, step up. Well, Trent Browse obviously finished that game at quarterback, but, the next week it was Riley Sauter. And we just took one of our athletic receivers and moved him to quarterback and, did our thing. And for another week and a half, and then all of a sudden, boom, he went down, and we were it was just next man up. And, I don't want to do it too many more times, that's for sure. And, the funny thing was I didn't really want to ask the team for volunteers because they saw all of our quarterbacks getting hurt. I didn't know if anybody would want to step up and do it. But, Kyle graciously stepped aside and did it. I think the neatest thing about Hopkins is no doubt in my mind, he would be a first-team all-league receiver, potentially could have even been an all-state receiver. And, and I talked to him. I said, do you understand by moving a quarterback, you're probably not going to get those individual awards? And he's like, yeah, I don't care. It's all about the team. And, that's pretty big maturity right there.
Well, but individual awards look nice when you're sitting on your couch after a 5-5 year and everybody else is still playing.
That's exactly right. That's, a lot of the teams that we played certainly have already turned in their equipment and polished up their awards and have it sitting on I haven't even given our stuff out because I got to wait till the banquet when we're done officially playing. So, yeah.
And then just worry about those kids getting into the gym to play basketball. That poor guy. He's just waiting and waiting again.
Yep.
I would be remiss if I didn't ask you about anywhere you read. People are saying, oh, it's going to be Marion, it's going to be Grove. That's obviously its own kind of pressure on kids. But how much do the kids or do you guys see of, things like Fantastic 50 has you losing by 23, and other people are, the Marion will hang 60 on them and all of that nonsense of Do you guys look at that? I mean, do you put that on the bulletin board? Like, how do you go about that?
Well, I'd love to put a website together to say how inaccurate Fantastic 50 really is. You know, everybody goes by his points and stuff, but it's really not that accurate. I mean, especially points scored in a game. I mean, wins and losses, a lot of times he you know, or whatever the computer does a good job. But I mean, ultimately, if we just had to go by computers, you know, why would we even play the game? It makes no sense at all. So yeah, I don't put a lot of stock into it. I'll never forget the day I was coaching the North-South game. I had the opportunity to do that. And that weekend was when the division breakdowns came out. Obviously, I was with a lot of coaches, really good coaches in the state of Ohio. And, you know, here comes the announcement, says we're playing Marion local. And I said, that's perfect. You know, let's bring it on. And then it was at that moment right then in April, I was like, okay, it's going to be Grove Marion local week 15. And so that's what we started preparing for. So, you know, it's a little frustrating that teams count us out, but obviously it also motivates us as well. So we thought we'd be in this position at this point, and we're ready to play.
A lot of people are going to talk about this, and I'm going to make sure that I get this on the record. NWC, MAC, 2-on-2 this weekend. What does that say about the Northwest Conference that you guys and Bluffton are still playing in Week 15?
Well, it's no secret that I'm not a huge Bluffton fan. I mean, it's no secret. Obviously, I've talked about that many times, but I'm also a great Bluffton fan. In fact, the very first thing that I did was Friday night. I mean, I hadn't even left Lima Stadium yet. And I found out the Bluffton won, and I texted Jeff Richards, and I said, man, congrats, anything you need. You know, I'm here because it's still the league. It's still, you know, our league versus theirs. And so there would be nothing that would please me more than the NWC to win, be 2-0 this weekend. I think that would be awesome for Bluffton. I think that'd be awesome for us. So, you know, even though we've built them into a rivalry, you know, I'm one of their biggest fans this weekend, and I really hope they get the job done.
Plus, if they win a state title and you win a state title, you're the only team to have beaten them.
The only team that have beaten them in the last 2 years, if you really think about it. So, you know, they had a heck of a run the last 2 years, so that would be special.
I just wanted to give you an opportunity to be put on the record of having to say something nice about Bluffton.
You got that? That's good.
I told about 15 people that I was going to put you on the spot with that before that came on. They said, he's going to hate you.
I did it. I said, no, honestly, I really do hope they win.
This weekend, a lot of people are looking at, obviously, Trent Barassa gets a lot of the headlines for you guys having an amazing year, an amazing career. People will say, oh, you shut him down, you shut Grove down. Last week, he still gets 100 yards. You guys get that win. Tell me a little bit about kind of how special he is, because a lot of that gets talked about, but he's the most humble kid.
Yeah, he is. He doesn't really talk much. I mean, you know, he humbly, just like you said, he humbly got 100 yards last week. And I think a lot of people, they were like, where was he? You know, we're used to him getting 200-300 yards. But what he was able to do last week was draw attention to open up things in that screen game. You know, Trevin Baxter had 2 amazing catches on a couple screens. Why do those plays work? Well, you're loading the box trying to stop down Trent Barassa. So, like I said, I think our coaches do a good job of recognizing things, and you can easily see when teams are overplaying them. And if you overplay them, then that's what's nice about our team. I think we have a lot more weapons than a lot of people think, because they talk about Trenton all the time. But, you know, we've got some pretty special guys out there as well.
That not even counting how good your defense has been. I mean, you have the highest scoring offense in school history. But it kind of reminds me, and I'd like to get your take on this, of 2003, obviously everybody says, oh, you load up the box and you stop playing mag. Well, easier said than done. They end up riding that to a title. He has just an amazing state title game against Marion. But it just, like you said, it kind of seems like you guys always seem to be one step ahead of figuring out where you need to go next.
Well, defensively, you know, I would have loved to have seen our defense get off the field a little bit more Friday night in St. John's, but you know, I'll also take that bend, don't break mentality. I mean, they had the ball inside the 5-yard line and didn't score. You know, they had time of possession. They beat us. They had a lot more plays than us, you know, that kind of thing. But, hey, at the end of the night, they had 0 points on the scoreboard. So, I love that our defense, like I said, shut them out. I would have loved to have gotten the ball a little bit, sooner on some of those third downs. But, ultimately at this stage in the game, this isn't the regular season. You look at the postseason a little bit different. It's all about not letting the other team score, and I thought we did our job.
Marion Local presents kind of a different opportunity to kind of look at how they're going to play because they can come at you in so many different ways. I mean, they have, 4 or 5 450-yard guys. Their quarterback can run. He can throw. If he's completely healthy, he's just a monster of a weapon. Were you able to look at anything maybe that Minster has done, whether it was last week or in week 9, that might help you guys this weekend?
Sure. Minster actually runs a very similar defense. And in fact, they run a very similar offense to us. So having 2 tapes on them on 2 close games against Minster, I mean, that's probably, a huge advantage for us. And we're definitely going to look at that. But I feel like we've played teams with lots of weapons before. What does that mean? Well, you look at Bluffton, that's still in it. And Bluffton had a ton of weapons. I mean, Worcester is a real physical back that can run the ball really hard, which is what Marion Local can do. And then you look at Stackhouse, which is one of the number 1 track kids in the state of Ohio. He's very comparable to number 2 from Marion Local. That's not one of the number 1 track kids in the state of Ohio. So I feel like, their quarterback, he's a senior and he's played in big games. I think that advantage obviously goes to Marion Local versus a sophomore from Bluffton. But I think the sophomore from Bluffton, UC kid, I think he was really, really pretty special. So, if I just looking at Bluffton, I think it's helped prepare us for this game. But I also look at Patrick Henry. I mean, holy cow. You look at the Krager kid that just signed with Northwestern. You look at Liberty Benton that had the Elkert kid that signed with Toledo. So you can't tell me we haven't played tough competition. Marion Local is not any different than any of the other teams we played. The biggest thing that they do is they don't make mistakes. I mean, and that's Patrick Henry had 5 or 6 turnovers against us. Hard for us to expect Marion Local to do that. I'd love them to, but that's you got to play a battle, not having to rely on the turnovers.
How much extra turkey do you have to eat on Thursday to have that tryptophan kind of seep in so that you maybe get a little bit of rest? Because I know you got to be hyped for Friday.
I am, and Thursday's going to be different. This is our first Thursday, or this is our first Thanksgiving for my family with 2 boys that have no idea what Thanksgiving is. So it's going to be a fun family adventure, that's for sure.
Well, I wish you a happy Turkey Day. I hope you guys have a successful practice and a big game this weekend.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
That's Andy Schafer, the head coach of the Columbus Grove Bulldogs. More coming up. Thanks so much for tuning into this episode. Hopefully you enjoyed a look at Coldwater and Columbus Grove's plans for this weekend and get a big chance to roll into basketball season with some momentum and a lot of Northwest Ohio representation next week as football comes to an end. Be sure to watch out coming up. I promise it's coming out in the next couple of days, both the boys and the girls podcast episodes with 40 coaches for the winter season. That's on the way here on Around the Herd.
We hope you've enjoyed this edition of Around the Hern. Come back next week for more local stories from the NWO. But until then, be sure to follow us on Twitter @Michael Hearn PBP for more great area content.